Hi,
Hi,
Sasha.
can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, let's just give it a minute to let more people join. Mm-mm.
I had like all my makeup done and stuff today.
Getting all glammed up.
Yeah, so we have to look good.
Totally. Let me see. Let's just try to get my thing working correctly. Okay. So people are starting to join. Just fix what is going on? There we go. All right. So, welcome everyone to our live. We have Sasha with us today, which is a new guest. We haven't had her before. And also, she is one of our certified professionals. So, normally we have staff members, but this time we're doing something different, something new, and it's very exciting. So, Sasha, welcome to the live.
Thank
Tell us a little
you.
bit more about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Sure. So I'm Sasha. I am from the beautiful islands of Trinidad and Tobago. I am a mom of two and I am a remote work enthusiast. I've been a remote worker for about 3 years and I'm actually coming up on my 1 year anniversary with WBN.
Yay! Perfect. So tell me a little bit more about what is your role with your client? What does a normal day look like for you in your role?
So I am a program advisor with my client, and that really combines my love of remote work as well as my love of helping people, right? But my
Hmm.
day can be really, really hectic because it starts with onboarding new clients as well as checking up on existing clients. And truth be told, I have about 200 clients under my belt. So
Yeah.
as you can guess, that can get really, really busy. But it's about tailoring my support to where they are in our program, and I
Hmm.
kind of coined a term during my interview called the professional parent because that really is what I do.
Yeah.
I motivate, I help them, I give them a little nudge. Sometimes I have to be a little stern with them, but it's really about just supporting them as they go through the program that we provide
Yeah.
and just being there for them as best as I could be.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I'm sure that in your job, there's a lot of establishing relationships and a lot of connecting with people. So when you first started, you definitely had to do that with your client. So what are your keys for fostering a strong relationship with your client?
I think one of the main things my main client and I have is open
Hmm.
communication. He is amazing. He has this open door policy where I feel very, very heard, very respected. I feel like my opinion matters because I see some of the things that I bring up being implemented in the company. So it
Yeah.
really feels like I'm really part of a team. I'm also very aligned with the company's goals. So that's a really important part, knowing what your company expects out of you and expects to see in growth so that you are aligned and you can do your best to see them be successful as well because it really is it
Yeah,
helps you to be successful.
definitely. All right, great. So, you've been with us for almost a year. Tell us a bit more about the application process that you had. What advice can you give any new candidates who are trying to apply right now?
So my application process was really, really smooth. I actually was referred by one of my very good friends. She's on the live right now. Crystal, I see you. Um, and it was very quick in terms of getting onboarded, just doing I think the only part that it was on me, which was to do the English test,
Yeah.
but it was pretty quick once I got that in. And honestly, it took maybe no more than 2 months
Hmm.
to get inside with WBN. My advice would be do your homework. Really get to know what
Yeah.
WBN is about, what their story is, because that's a really important part to know what is expected of you as a certified professional.
Hmm.
And I think that translates into any job, that you go on to
Definitely.
with your client as well. And I think the other piece of advice is always bring your best, do your best, put forth your best effort. And whether it is your interview, your English test, and moving on to your client and your daily tasks,
Mm-hmm.
do your best, because that really helps you shine bright like a diamond, like my success coach says.
Perfect. And yeah, I think there's a lot of connecting with the company that is done at the very beginning, like learning about our values and learning what we stand for. And we work with clients who have those values too, who will support you in the same way that we would support you if you were working as a staff member with us. So that's why it's super important to find that connection and see what parts of you do you identify with the rest of like the values of the company.
Definitely very, very true.
Okay, perfect. All right, so you have an amazing podcast, The Remote Islander. I'm not sure if everyone else has heard it, but I have. I heard the episode about, your whole process with joining Work Better Now, and it was great to hear. It was really enjoyable, and you have a great way of speaking.
Thank you.
In case you didn't know. But tell us a little bit more about the Remote Islander. How did you come up with the idea? What was your goal when you first started it? And how can we find you?
Sure. So if you've listened to me, you know that a lot of my opportunities come from having really great people in my life.
Yeah.
And the Remote Islander was not my idea. It was my partner's idea, who also has a podcast. But he was like, you have a love of talking as well as a really good perspective on remote work.
Yeah.
And he pushed me to get it done. And it really came out of a place where I have knowledge of remote
Mhm.
work and a love of talking, you know. So um, my aim really is to introduce remote work to as many people as I can. The ins, the outs, the myths, the truths, everything about
Yeah.
it. Because there's a lot that people don't understand about it. And I'm just here to help in any way that I can.
Hmm.
I'm on most major platforms, podcast platforms like Player FM, Apple Podcasts. You can also find me on Facebook and YouTube. You just have to look for the Remote Islander, and I should pop up.
I love it. I love it. Perfect. So with this podcast, I'm sure there's a lot of planning that has to go into that, not only for content, but also for your own time and how you're managing that. So, how do you manage it? How do you work on your podcast at the same time as you're completing your full-time job with us?
Yes. So working full time, doing podcast work, and being a parent can get very, very hectic. I think one of the great things about working remotely is you don't have the commute.
Mm,
My commute is literally 2 minutes across the hallway,
yeah.
that stress and that unknown of how long it's going to be, having that taken away from you
Hmm.
really helps you to be able to structure your day. So I know my working hours are 9 to 6. That's when I get things done. But I also know what I can do before that, what I can do after that,
Yeah.
what I can do on weekends. It really is about being able to properly manage your time, knowing the time that you actually have. And
Hmm.
and that's one of the great things I think about working with WBN and working remotely.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's like this ongoing myth that when you're working remotely, you can sit at your computer for an hour and then leave and you're done for the day. It's
No,
the complete
and that's
opposite, I would say.
it is. I think a lot of people really think you don't have a boss.
Yeah.
No one's actually looking at you, but that's not true. You still are responsible for your tasks. You're responsible for getting what you need to get done in the time that you need to get it done.
Hmm.
Yes, it may seem flexible, but it really isn't. It's just working in a different environment than an office.
Yeah. And you get like the advantage that you get to organize your time in the way that
Yeah.
you would like, and you get to structure it how you would like. And of course, you're not, stuck 4 hours in traffic. So that's a huge thing.
And
But in the
if you're
end,
from Trinidad, like I am, you know that traffic can be
oh, I've
ridiculous and very
heard.
unpredictable.
I've
So,
heard every
yeah,
time I'm interviewing someone and they're from Trinidad, they're saying, I want to get out of the traffic. I never want to go through that again.
it's a big selling point for sure to go into
I can
remote work.
imagine. Okay, perfect. So we have a couple of questions directly from the audience that I would like to ask you. First one is, how was your interviewing experience with potential clients?
So I had two interviews with potential clients, and they were really good. I like interviewing. I get nervous, but I'm very good at interviewing. But what I found to be very helpful that WBN does is that there is someone who listens into your interview, and
Mhm.
then you get tips and pointers on what you did well, what you can work on. And I found that to be very helpful because sometimes when you go to an interview, you don't get feedback,
Yeah,
but having that feedback, that really relevant feedback, really helps you to polish your story, polish your answers, and really give the best the next time you interview.
definitely. And you're also like, even when you maybe had an interview that you know you were scrambling, you know you were nervous, after that you still get to know exactly what happened,
Yes.
exactly why things didn't go the way
And,
you
and
planned.
as you know from my WorkBetterNow story, my second interview did not go well because my camera stopped working. It was chaotic, but I
Yeah.
still got the job. So, you never know what can happen.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, next question is, well, we were just talking about this. Do I need to be connected all the time during my schedule?
Yes, you need to be connected all the time. Once you are scheduled to work, whether it's 8 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever it is, you need to be locked in, you need to be focused,
Yeah.
you need to be working. Think about it as working in an office without the actual office
Yeah.
building. You are responsible and accountable for working when you need to be there.
Yeah, it's basically the same office job except you get to make lunch at home and eat it at home.
Exactly.
Okay, so another question is, how long did it take you to land a client?
So I interviewed when I got through the WBN interview process. It was the end of February.
Hmm.
And like I said, I interviewed with two clients. And by March, the end of March, I got a job offer from one of the clients. So it really didn't take long for me to get a client. And I think what really helps is with that as well is that screening process that WBN has when you apply
Yeah.
to work with a client. They tell you, okay, you're not suited for this one based on your skills. So it doesn't seem like a waste of your time. It
Yeah.
really does align what your skills are to a job description.
Hmm.
And that I think takes a lot of the work out of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's also like, it has to do a lot with the way you're applying to the jobs. If you're being consistent, are you
Yeah,
applying to jobs that, you have to do with your skills and expertise? Or are you not applying? Or are you applying to jobs that have nothing to do with what you know?
exactly. And I think it takes a lot from the certified professional's perspective. You have to really take stock of what you can do, take stock of your skills,
Mm-hmm.
and really see if they align with the job descriptions.
Yeah.
Because then, honestly, you're just wasting everyone's time if you're not doing that. But if it's something you're really interested in, or you're seeing a skill pop up all the time,
Hmm.
definitely upskill yourself, get those skills so that you can apply for those jobs,
Yeah.
you know?
100%. Um, okay. I think that will be all of the questions that we have for today. Um, Sasha, this has been really great. I'm so happy that I got to talk to you. I hope everyone checks out your podcast because it's great.
Thank
I
you.
promise you, it's great to hear her talk. And I imagine it's also great to talk to yourself for like an hour.
It's a little different. It still takes a little bit out of me. Like doing this took a little bit out of me. You think
Yeah.
I would be comfortable with it, but please, if you're interested in remote work, check it out. I'm gonna be doing interviews soon, so you'll get not
Yeah.
just my perspective, but the perspective of other remote workers, what it's like, and all anything. You can also submit questions, ideas, anything that you want to hear me talk about and I'll get to it. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to
Of
talk not just
course.
about my real personal experience, but my podcast. And I really have enjoyed my journey with WBN so far. I feel a part of an amazing team,
Oh,
and I am just really, really humbled by the experience that I've had.
that makes me super happy to hear. We hope to have you with us for as long as
Yeah.
possible. Um, And yeah, that would be pretty much it for the live today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and we will see you next time.
Bye,
See you soon,
guys.
Sasha.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.